what's been done with that money. And I think South Africans are angry, rightfully so. And one of the people I'm going to talk to right now, Gareth, actually looks at municipalities and what they're doing. Let me give you a little secret here. I've done my executive MBA and I've looked at South Africa's municipal meltdown. I spoke to 10 government officials from national, provincial and local government. I spoke to 6 mayors to find out what's contributing to the poor success rate in municipalities. And the answers will shock you. I can't give you those answers now because my final thesis is currently under scrutiny by examiners. But when it's done, I'll surely bring you those details because the insights I gained is unbelievable. That in 2026, we still have municipalities who don't have support. We still have mayors who say they don't have the right people, and that's why they can't carry out their responsibilities. But I'm not the expert. I have the expert next to me, and that's Mieleni Holeni, who is a local governance expert. Mieleni, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. The president last year promised South Africans that he was going to do more to help municipalities. It's been 365 or more days since he spoke, right? Has that changed, or was it just a broken promise?
Well, in this case, I think, you can argue that, there's a half a broken promise, and some of the municipalities that have been getting on and doing great things. So I think in terms of support, as you were talking earlier, there is a chronic lack of support for municipalities that want to do well. And those municipalities that at least have found their way are at least getting on and somehow are able to find, the support, through the system, because they can master the system in terms of unlocking, whether it's funds, grants and different, financing that is available. But in this case, I think, we have a bulk of the municipalities that need, good support, that need a good base. And we've spoken about, the fact that, a base for municipalities means that you have, at least, skills. You have people that can come in and as and when those skills are required. And in this case, we want to look at, how this year and how the president started early in the new year is going to carry on with the message, because it looks like the wheels of government may be grinding a bit too slow. Perhaps, with this chronic repetition and putting together of plans, there may be a different view that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got to be hopeful, and hopefully the pressure from people regarding service delivery, and this is basic service delivery, will push the president to do more. But if you look at the water issues, not just in Gauteng, but across the country, the governance failures in municipalities with audits that leave you wanting, that's an indication that a large part of them are failing, and that means that there needs to be even bigger intervention by national government.
So government in terms of, their programs as well as provincial government, because in this case, we cannot divorce national as well as provincial, because those are the two spheres of government that at least must do a lot more to support the municipalities. And the understanding here is that if you look at water crisis, you look at the disasters that are taking place, you look at the audits and the governance and so on. This is now a point, that shows that there needs to be a concerted effort which is different from any of the different interventions that have been put in place. In one of the articles I put together, I said there needs to be a national skills bench, which has engineers, which has financial people, which has everyone who has planning skills and different multidisciplinary skills that are going to come in and support those municipalities that are still behind the curve, and those ones that are showing green shoots to give them the impetus to move on to the next level. But we also see that the water crisis as it is means that the various water organizations, whether it's the rainwaters of this world and everywhere else around the country as well, would need to relook at their plans and start driving their plans in a way that they focus on the bulk infrastructure and focus on getting essentially the strategy from the dam to the tap and everything in between with regards to infrastructure. So there's also an infrastructure build, an infrastructure renewal, an infrastructure refurbishment that must also come in place. And as for the disasters, because it's water and we're talking about water and the floods that we've had, just laid bare the fact that, even the disaster planning side of things also needs, a lot of, attention. But for those places that, are getting on, and I think we see the cities, we see some of, the secondary cities which are getting on, commendably so. But as for the rest, you almost need to bring everyone together. And through the district development model, we believe that that could be much more possible than trying to do anything and everything across the country.
I mean, very quickly, you look at municipalities and the fact that they have to basically run as businesses and make their own money through citizens. But then citizens don't have jobs. 39.1% of people don't have jobs. 58% of the youth don't have jobs. How are they expected to pay for services? And then you see that municipalities only get just over 9% of the national budget. But you want them to make sure that people get services. And then how do you ask them, and I'm asking you my research questions now, how do you ask them to then go and repair or put in new infrastructure when it comes to water? That's going to cost hundreds of millions, if not billions. They don't have that money.
The first, I think, of the things that gets ignored or not emphasized at local government is the whole issue of local economic development. And I think the issue of, the economy growing. The economy doesn't grow somewhere in the sky, it grows locally. So the efforts going forward, what we also would expect, from the president is to look at the economic development initiatives as well as financing the economic development interventions and the projects that are coming forward. So the issue here is that we believe that if you want growth, you must go and pay for growth. You must buy growth. You must budget for growth. So the budget that gets put in place later must also be talking to the fact that you want to create jobs.